edition, we're talking about a very serious issue, texting and driving. And Vic, tonight we're going to introduce a new public service project.
Absolutely. We're going to tell you about something that has to be addressed by our communities. There were 333,000 accidents caused by texting last year, and there are 13 teens dying every day. And we're going to tell you how you can stop it and what we're going to do to try to help you with it.
And love to take your phone calls related to it, any traffic accidents. The number 803-442-4551. We'll take a short time out. Hi there, good Monday morning. I'm Neil Gordon. Welcome to Law Call. We'll have the answers to your legal questions. Here's what's ahead on the program tonight. In our caller segment, we'll discuss traffic accidents specifically related to texting. So what should you do if you happen to get involved in one of these accidents? If you've got questions, please give us a call, and please stay on topic if you can. 803-442-4551. Later in the show, we will also look at why it seems that your lawsuit may be dragging on just a bit. First, though, we welcome in attorney Vic Hawk to take a look at one of our email questions. Happy Easter, sir.
Happy Easter. Happy Easter to all of you.
Yeah,
it was a great day today.
It was a wonderful day, and we appreciate everyone staying up. We know there's a lot of folks out there. You were enjoying one of the concerts over the weekend. You couldn't even listen to the music.
No, we went to the Lady A Center on Saturday night, and it was a good band, that kind of stuff. But we had a lot of people coming up and just asking about Law Call and asking about different things that we've covered and thanking us for what we're doing. So it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed talking to the people more than listening to the band anyway.
Well, that's good of you. And we're so excited because Vic's going to unveil in the next segment a new public service campaign, which is really terrific, something you want to stick around for. But again, Suzette with our first email question of the evening, and we're going to put it up on screen for everyone. Suzette mentioned that one of her neighbors recently lost his job, and so she was just trying to help him out, Vic, and paid him a few bucks to do some odd jobs around the house, but unfortunately he fell off a ladder. He broke his ankle. He was apparently washing a high window, and Suzette just wants to know if she's going to be responsible for his medical bills. Yeah.
Suzette, you would only be responsible for his medical bills in the event that you gave him a defective ladder or you shook his ladder to cause him to fall. But there is some relief for him. Under your homeowner's coverage, as a general rule, there's a MedPay provision. It ranges anywhere from $500 to $5,000 to pay for any medical expenses for an injury that arose there on the premises, regardless of fault. So he may have some help there. Workers' comp doesn't apply because you don't have 3 or more employees and it didn't arise out of your business. So you wouldn't have any personal responsibility as long as you gave him a good ladder and you didn't shake it. But there may be some MedPay available.
All right, well, accidents certainly do happen. We would love for you to be involved in our email segment. There's a couple ways to do so. We're going to give you a few websites. One, you can visit Vic's at vichawklaw.com, or here, News 12's WRDW.com. There's a way for you to click on the Law Call link and learn a little bit about our program, the type of subjects that we deal with, and of course you can certainly ask email questions. We think tonight's going to be an extremely popular program despite the late hour. Again, thanks for sticking around. And tonight, Vic, you're introducing a new public service campaign, and you're really trying to prevent accidents and prevent loss of life.
That's right, Neil. I was very surprised when I was reading the Trial Lawyers magazine this last week that there are 13 teen deaths every day due to texting and driving. And then the 33,000 accidents with injuries caused by texting and driving. And we want to try to help you to bring that number down for our community and for our kids. Tonight, I brought on Reed Sanders. And when we have late night shows, we try to do it in-house because of our guests that we bring on. They're not as tough as us. and they don't want to stay up as late to put on the show. So I brought on Reed Sanders. Reed's a great young trial attorney. He's one of the rising stars in the community. And Reed, can you tell our viewers what are some of the things that parents can do to stop their kids from texting, other than saying, don't text?
Right. Well, like I said, the first thing to do is, absolutely what you just said is talk to them about it. Talk to them about texting and driving and that kind of thing. Another thing you want to do as a parent, obviously you want to set a good example. You can't be texting all the time and then when they're in the car with you and you expect them to do something differently. But one of the main things that you can do is see and get them to understand their phone's ability. Like if you have an iPhone, you have voice activated texting. That's not the perfect solution, but it's a lot better than having your eyes on the phone. And the big thing is there's plenty of apps out there nowadays. One of them is called Drive Off. It's an app you can put on your child's phone, and at 10 miles an hour, if you're in any vehicle, the entire phone goes off completely. It'll just have a static screen. Another one is called Drive Mode, and this one is if you're going 25 miles per hour or over, if you get a text message sent to you or an email sent to you, your phone automatically responds to that and says that the person is driving and that they'll get back in touch with you as soon as possible. And one of the last ones I want to talk about is called Text Buster. And this one you have to actually buy a piece of hardware that goes in the vehicle. But the thing that is good about the Text Buster one is that your phone is able to do other things while the texting is blocked. And what I mean by that is the GPS is still intact, where if your child needed to figure out where they were going or even make a phone call. That one's a little bit more advanced. It's, like I said, you have to buy hardware, but has some different capabilities. And on that last one, you also have it password protected. So the child can't say, yeah, I had it on. This one you have it locked where you can actually get it going, and that gives you reports on beginning of trip and after trip, how fast they were going. So you got all kind of protections that way.
Yeah, and that that's the first step to be able to help your children. And we saw a need, and so we're going to try to fulfill it. And what we decided to do is we're going to try to get into the schools in April and May, and then of course really crank up in August, and for this next fall, to communicate with the kids and let them know what the dangers of texting really are. And just for example, if someone's traveling at 45 miles an hour, generally it takes about 4.5 seconds to complete a short text. Well, that child would have traveled 100 yards without ever looking at the road. When we're seeing our kids drive off of curves that are obviously there and apparent for them to see, that are crossing the center lane of traffic and having head-on collisions, it's the texting that's going on that's really causing that. So we're going to start a project, and we're going to start off with some bumper stickers that we're going to hand out. I don't know if we can focus in on that. Can we do it?
Try to this camera.
Let's do it to this camera over here. Let's switch back. Can you switch over?
You may be able to see that.
Yeah. It basically has a bumper sticker that reminds everyone, says, sin could be the end. And that being, if you send a text, it could be the end of your life, because the time you looked away to enter that text and send that text could cause a head-on collision, or for you to go completely off the road, or cause someone else to be seriously injured. So we're gonna help the community by promoting information and education about texting and the dangers of texting and driving.
And one of the dangers that along with that is, we're all a little arrogant, a little cocky about our driving. I'm a great driver, I can do this, I can text, I can drive with one knee or whatever. And like you're saying, it's the 5 seconds that somebody else could be doing something. That you may be able to do that. You may be able to drive with your knee and eat a sandwich and like my wife says, do about 5 things at once. But like I tell her, there's other people out there that may not be able to do 5 things at once. They might not be able to drive the car at all. And they may, you're not looking at the phone, and then all of a sudden they make an abrupt stop where they shouldn't have. But you're the one who's going to suffer because you can't react.
And we'd also kind of love to hear your stories. A lot of times we notice people out on the road texting, and it may be a good example for other folks watching. If you've seen people text and drive and been involved in situations, or if you have any questions about traffic-related accidents, we definitely want to hear from you. The number again, 442-4551. Please stick around. We'll be back with more of News 12 Law Call. If your lawsuit's headed to court, you better be prepared to wait a bit for a verdict. Personal injury attorney Melissa Detchmendy explains why in tonight's legal brief.
Many people get frustrated after their personal injury lawsuit is filed because such a long time passes before any settlement or trial. Here's what's happening. In the discovery phase, you and your lawyer will need to gather up all of the medical records, your bills, and other proof of your injuries. Some of these must be obtained in a specific way to make them admissible at trial. This just takes time. The other party's lawyers may slow things down by scheduling what seems like an endless number of motions and hearings on motions. They're hoping you'll get tired of waiting and agree to settle for less. If your case doesn't settle, it will go to trial. But trials are on the court schedule, not the lawyer schedule. Having a case that's 2 to 3 years old before going to trial isn't unusual. But if you really have a valid claim, your patience can pay off. That's your legal brief for tonight. I'm personal injury attorney Melissa Detchmendy of the Vic Hawk Law Firm. Back to you.
Well, thank you so much. Melissa couldn't be with us. She's still celebrating her birthday.
That's right. Yeah, she has a month-long birthday to wish.
There you go. Well, we appreciate everyone sticking around. The Monday morning holiday edition of News 12 Law Call. Very important topic. We're dealing with texting and driving, and there's a lot of things folks want to know. If you get into an accident and it's not your fault and you suspect that someone else has been texting and is the cause of the accident, how do you prove it?
Well, that's a particular legal issue that's come up very often now in litigation. And you'd be very surprised how many times it comes up in trucking accidents. In other words, a guy driving an 18-wheeler is driving down the road with 72,000 pounds and texting and driving. But what has to be done if they don't admit to the texting and driving or admit to using the phone in any manner during the course of it? Like sometimes you'll see people talking on the phone at the time of an accident, and it's obvious they're not even looking at the red light, or they're obviously weren't even looking in your direction. They're looking, I guess, in some other direction while they're on the phone. The only way you're going to be able to get those records is to subpoena those records, and it's kind of harsh to say, but you got to file suit right away because that gives you the subpoena power of the court. And the reason that you have to file suit right away is that these companies, these telephone companies, have different rules with regard to how long they will keep a text message, how long they will keep a record of a phone call. And if you wait too long and then you find out, say, 4, 5, 6 months down the road that the person is denying that they were texting at the time or denying they were distracted by their phone, you can't get those records. So it's very important that you get to a trial lawyer very quickly and get your claim filed if you suspect that texting would cause that particular wreck.
And on the flip side of that, you know, you're talking in the scenario that the person who's sending the text is the one that's at fault. Mm-hmm. You may be sending a text or even on the phone and actually not be the one who causes the accident. But if you're on the phone or doing something on the phone, either calling or texting or emailing or whatever, you're going to be presumed to be liable. And that's going to be a huge burden for you to overcome. You know, with that being against state law for you to be texting and driving, you know, that's like I said before, huge hurdle to jump over because even if the other person was at fault, you had the last clear chance to get out of the way or to stop or do something else, and they're going to use that, basically the insurance is going to use that to offset any kind of liable or liability that the other side may have had.
And you know, Reed mentioned it earlier, and he was talking about dealing with his wife and trying to get her not to text, and me,
no fair.
and me
She's
not,
out of town.
me not
talk about
you know,
her.
my wife not to text, and me not to text.
Yeah. Me too. Right. My wife too.
Yeah, you really have to rely on one another. Yeah. You know, your husband has to tell the wife. The wife has to tell the husband. Don't just grab the phone and just respond right away. It's going to be something that we've all got to just completely stop doing because it's just hurting too many people.
What we try to do on trips or what have you is the other who's not driving.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah.
Just pass the phone to your loved one, and they can respond or do a text.
That's a simple solution to a bad problem.
Oh, it definitely is. And we'd love to hear from you if you've had some texting stories or questions or anything related to traffic incidents you want to definitely ask Reed or Vic a question at 803-442-4551. You may notice a little bit of a prop up on the news desk tonight. Really neat slogan, Vic.
Absolutely.
That says a lot that you care about the community and want to make a difference.
Well, that's just the reality of it. When you're texting and you touch send, that might be the last thing that you ever remember or your child ever remembers. So it's something very important to brand on the public's mind that it's a very dangerous condition. And we're going to go around to the schools. We're going to have videos to demonstrate the distance that a car will travel while you're doing a simple text. And demonstrate and help educate them as to the serious risk that is caused by texting.
And talk about risk, not only are you talking about bodily injury risk, but you're talking about criminal risk too. If you hurt somebody else, I mean, you know, there's a good chance you're going to jail for a long time.
And especially if you've seriously injured or killed someone, because those are felonies in Georgia.
Yeah, well, we often hear about that when a DUI is involved, where someone loses their license. They often go to jail. Is texting and driving when you injure someone now equated with the severity of a DUI in the judge's eyes?
It's certainly getting there. I mean, it is the new area of the law for holding people responsible for hurting others. I mean,
I don't think it's looked at as negative yet, but I certainly think it's just as dangerous, if not more, because you know, at least most of the time on DUIs are at night. You can kind of when you're out, but texting is all the time, daylight, nighttime, whatever, and it's just as dangerous.
I was driving home from work just this last week, and there was a guy kept running off the road and crossing the center, and he obviously wasn't DUI, but he was texting.
Well, we certainly love to hear from you. May have had some ham and are a little sleepy, but we can call in because it involves everyone. Everyone's got a phone and everyone drives. The number 803-442-4551. We'll be back with your last chance to call in on News 12 Law Call. Well, you may want to check in with the Vic Hawk Law Group in the morning, one of their 4 offices. The main number to call to make an appointment or ask a question, 706-722-3500, toll free, 1-800-392-5456, or vichawklaw.com. Once again, wanted to give you the telephone number to call, 803-442-4551. We have a call from Shannon from North Augusta with a comment over a traffic situation. Hello, Shannon. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Wonderful. Happy Easter, and thank you so much for calling in. Shannon, what do you see as the big problem right now out on the roads?
Speeding.
Really? What have you encountered when you've been driving?
Well, I've probably missed 1,000 people because I am like 65 years old, and I'm not a fast driver. And when I was growing up, we were taught to drive like we had an egg between our foot and the gas pedal, and an egg between our foot and the brake. And we were taught to take our time, and we were taught that vehicles are mechanical, therefore they can fail.
That's right.
People think they're going to stop. They may not.
Yeah.
If your brakes don't work, you're not going to stop.
That's right.
And people drive so fast, it's unbelievable. We're on a little one-block street, 10 miles an hour, the sign at both ends. They come around a curve and stomp it.
Shannon, thank you so much for your call. We do appreciate it. We actually have another caller related to texting and driving, also from your neighborhood there in North Augusta. Hi, Jen. How are you?
Hi. Good. How are you?
Good. What is your question for Vic or Reed?
I would like to know if I am driving and I see somebody texting and driving, are there any courses that I can take to, I don't know, maybe get their license plate and call the police, or how do I go about that?
Reed?
Well, I'm not 100% sure on that. I think that it's, if you, just like a DUI, if you see somebody who's driving that you feel that they are drunk, then you can obviously call the police and like you just said, tell them their license plate number or things like that, and then the police can go check it out. But besides that, I don't really know if there's too much more, but I do know that is pretty commonplace when it comes to drunk driving. I would think that it would be pretty commonplace as texting as well. Yeah.
I think once you see them start weaving off the road, running off the road, and then crossing the center line, if you make a 911 call, they're pretty good with responding. I remember I was in Conyers one time, and there was this trucker. I thought the trucker was just sleepy, because he was weaving so much on the interstate. And I made the phone call, and they were sitting right there at the next exit, when he passed by.
Yeah. But, you bring up an interesting point, because a lot of folks, Reed and Vic, may not know, Georgia or South Carolina, what the law is. I mean, can you be cited, like if a police officer comes up next to you and you're texting and driving, have you broken the law, first of all?
And the judges are going to start hammering them, too, if they start issuing those citations on any regular basis. But I think the police officers say that they hold it down, which means you got to look down, as well. But
and with phones doing so many things now, it's going to be interesting to see how the statute is written in different states. If one of them says just texting, the other one says all phone activity, there's going to be loopholes with GPS systems and phones being cameras now, and doing so many types of things. Another thing I think that would be interesting down the road is see what the insurance companies write in their contracts about if you're texting or found to be texting and driving, then we don't have any coverage for you. I see that being a potential issue with some contractual stuff down the line.
And before we scoot, at the top of the program, you mentioned a couple of apps, I guess, for parents to help with teens.
Right.
What would be the top one or two, you think?
The one, Text Buster, I think is the best. Like I say, it is a little bit more expensive, and there's other ones by AT&T and eSure is Drive Mode and Drive Off. And those are free apps. I don't think they're quite as good, but they're certainly better than nothing.
And Vic, the new bumper sticker slogan that will be coming out?
Absolutely. We're going to probably start putting that out in April, and it'll continue throughout the summer, and hopefully we'll get a good response from the public to use it.
If you send.
If you send, it could be the end.
Could be the end. Remember that. Very important if you learn nothing else. Thanks so much for joining us again on this holiday weekend. Next week, bankruptcy. Have a great work week ahead.
Thank you all for calling.